Okay, so we're going to be looking at an audiovisual study guide for an introduction to biblical Greek grammar by Dana Harris. In this video, we're doing chapter 2. At the end of each chapter, Harris gives a summary and a review, and then lists concepts that you need to understand, vocab you need to memorize, paradigms you need to memorize, skills you need to be able to perform in order to master the chapter. And we're just going to go through that list along with answers from the chapter. This is meant to be a review, not to teach you the concepts. If there's something in the review you don't understand, then you got to go back to the chapter and read and study it. So verbal roots and tense stems. So a verb's most basic morpheme is called its root. Lexically, the root indicates the specific action or state of being in view. Morphologically, the root is the basis from which all the verbs form derive. So bal, lexically, the meaning is going to be the specific action or the state of being in view, but morphologically, the sound or the form is bal. Then a tense stem indicates the most basic form of the root in a given tense form. So bal is the tense stem here. Cognates are related verbs and nouns that are derived from the same root. So related verbs and nouns that are derived from the same root are called cognates. Tense forms are forms that make up the verbal paradigm. Forms are constructed from tense stems, which are derived from the verbal root. Okay, so you've got the verbal root bal, and you've got the tense stem bal, and then you've got a tense form, which is going to be a form like ekbalo. Present. The present tense presents an action as ongoing, continuous, or progressing. We are inside the event, watching it unfold. It is taking place as we watch it. That's the present tense form. Again, these don't relate as much to time as to aspect. Imperfect, ongoing, continuous, internal aspect, action that was attempted or habitual. Sometimes it's background information in a narrative. Future tense form indicates a sense of expectation, indicates future time. It is debated, but this is going to be the one of the ones that is associated with time. Aorist is undefined action. The focus is not on the duration of an event, but simply that the event occurred. That's called a perfective aspect. We'll get into that. So it's a photo rather than a video. It's a summary of an action viewed externally. It views events from a distance. A perfect tense form, the focus is often on the resulting state of past action. It can also indicate summary or a past event that has ongoing results. Pluperfect. So in narrative, this indicates an action that began in the past and continued until some point in the past, but which ceased at some point in the past. Verbal voice. This indicates how the subject is related to the action of the verb in a clause or sentence, and we're going to demonstrate that with the next few verbs. So the active voice, the subject performs, produces, or experiences the action of the verb. The middle voice, the subject performs or experiences the action expressed by the verb in such a way that emphasizes the subject's participation. So it stresses the actor versus the action. That's the middle voice. The passive voice, the subject is acted upon or receives the action of the verb. Transitive and intransitive verbs. So intransitive verbs, the action of the verb, intransitive verbs, the action of the verb is performed by the subject and it affects the object in some way. The action is somehow transferred onto an object or an indirect object. With intransitive verbs, the action performed by the subject does not affect an object. Verbal person and number. This indicates the relationship between the subject and the verb, first, second, and third person. That's verbal person, first, second, and third person. Subjects and verbs can either be singular or plural. That's called verbal number. Verbal mood indicates how the speaker chooses to portray the actuality or potentiality of an event. We're going to get more into that right here. Indicative mood makes an assertion or statement that is presented as if it were true. The imperative mood, intention and involves volition. It is the attempt to direct someone's will or actions. These are usually commands or prohibitions. Subjunctive is about probability or potentiality. It indicates an action that is uncertain but probable. Optative, possibility or strong contingency. It occurs in prayer or to express a wish. This is the least common. Finite and non-finite verb forms. Finite verbs are inflected to indicate person and number, not inflected to indicate person and number. The infinitive, sorry, so there's a typo there. Non-finite are not inflected to indicate person and number. The infinitive is a verbal noun. The participle is a verbal adjective. Those are not inflected to indicate person and number. Therefore, they're non-finite verb forms. So any verb form in which you inflect to indicate person and number, that's a finite verb form. Equative verbs, verbs that link a subject with some type of predication about that subject. God is love is an equative verb there. You've got two substantives, God is love. Basic negation, the very basic Greek adverb ou indicates negation. Place it before a verb to negate it. Imperfective aspect, views an action in progress. It gives an internal point of view. The action is portrayed as progressive or ongoing. Present tense form and imperfect tense form have an imperfective aspect. So we've already talked a little bit about this when we went over the different aspects. Perfective aspect views an action as undefined or summary with no indication of the duration of the action. It gives an external point of view. This is the aorist tense form. And that's it for chapter 2. If there's anything in there you do not understand, you need to go back and look at it in the chapter. Hope this has been helpful.